Welcome to today's Explainer. Today we're diving into a really wondrous traditional narrative that is just deeply rooted in Indian mythology. It's a story that transports us straight to the serene banks of the Yamuna River, right into the heart of the Bhandirvan forest. Now, this isn't just your standard folktale. It's actually a profound exploration of faith, innocence, and, the true nature of devotion. We're going to unpack the story of a young, totally overlooked orphan and his absolutely unbelievable encounter with the divine. Right off the bat, we're faced with this incredibly captivating central mystery. How did an uneducated, constantly mocked orphan boy end up catching the supreme lord stealing butter? I mean, think about that contrast for a second. You have the absolute lowest social status of this boy paired with the ultimate divine encounter. That dynamic is exactly what makes this source material so fascinating. We're literally looking at a game of hide-and-seek between a mortal and a deity. All right, let's jump into Section 1. The orphan named Bondo. To really grasp the story, we have to start by understanding exactly who our protagonist is, because his character is the engine for literally everything that follows at this small ashram. So get this, his name, Bondu, actually translates roughly to someone who's simple-minded or, foolish. This poor orphan boy lived at the ashram, and the crazy part is, no one even knew his real name. From dawn until dusk, Bondu did all the heavy lifting and chores around the place. And his reward for all that hard work, constant mockery and laughter from the other kids. Yet remarkably, the source material specifically points out that he never got angry at anyone. He just kind of absorbed it all with complete, absolute innocence. The turning point happens one evening during a gathering. The ashram's guru is delivering a sermon and shares this profound truth. He says, God doesn't want gold or wealth, only true love. Where there is true love, God comes running. He also casually mentions that Lord Jagannath, the Supreme Lord, in his child form absolutely loved butter and used to steal it from the village women. While hearing this, Bondu's eyes just light up. He asks the guru, does God still eat butter today? The guru smiles and replies that if the love is pure, God accepts everything. That simple little confirmation plants a massive seed in Bondu's pure mind. Moving right along to Section 2, Catching the Butter Thief. Here, Bondu takes the guru's metaphorical teaching and turns it into literal, physical action. And the results? They're pretty astonishing. So Bondu establishes this brand new daily routine. Having zero knowledge of scriptures or complex mantras, he relies entirely on just simple faith. First, he goes to an old woman in the village to beg for some butter, specifically telling her he wants to feed his Lord Jagannath. Next, he takes this little clay pot deep into the Bhandirvan forest, leaves it there, and goes off to graze his cows. When he returns later that evening, the pot is completely empty. Bondu is thrilled, fully believing his lord actually came down to eat it. But, as you might guess, Bondu's curiosity totally gets the better of him. He decides he needs to see exactly who is eating his butter, so he sets up a stakeout. He hides behind a large bush near a banyan tree and just waits. 1 hour passes, 2 hours pass. The intense afternoon heat sets in. By the third hour, Bondu is really fighting off sleep. But then, he hears it, the sweet, rhythmic jingling sound of footsteps approaching his butter pot. He peeks through the bushes and sees a boy eating the butter. The thief has this beautiful peacocked feather resting on his head. He has large, captivating round eyes, and he's draped in radiant yellow clothes, which are known as pitambari. Seeing this thief eating his hard-earned butter, Bondu just leaps out of the bushes and gives chase. The chase finally ends when the mysterious boy slips on a rock. The butter pot falls and completely shatters, spilling the butter everywhere. Bondu stands over him, totally out of breath, and asks, Who are you? And the boy responds with this incredibly heartwarming and honestly kind of humorous question, You have been bringing me butter for 3 days, and now you ask who I am. Looking closely at the peacock feather and the yellow clothes, it finally clicks. Bondu realizes he has physically caught Lord Jagannath. He falls to the Lord's feet, weeping uncontrollably. But the Lord just smiles, tells him to stop crying, and says he is hungry. They literally sit down and eat the fallen butter together right off the ground, forging this unbreakable, secret friendship. Which brings us to Section 3, the Guru's Ultimate Challenge. Now, a secret daily meeting in the forest couldn't stay hidden forever, right? It inevitably leads to a major clash back at the ashram. So Bondu's whole demeanor changes. He is visibly glowing with happiness every single day, but his secret doesn't last. The other disciples notice him talking in the forest and, of course, jump to the worst conclusion. They run straight to the guru, laughing, claiming Bandhu has completely lost his mind and is out there talking to trees. The guru, however, knows Bandhu's pure nature. He calls the boy in and asks him gently, "Who are you meeting in the forest?" When Bandhu innocently replies, "My Lord Jagannath," the entire ashram erupts in mocking laughter. Seeing the absolute, deceit-free truth in Bandhu's eyes, the guru quiets the room and poses this ultimate, seemingly impossible challenge. He says, "If God truly comes to you, can you bring him to the ashram?" It's a huge emotional turning point. Bandhu doesn't even hesitate. He confidently promises he will, stating simply, "My Lord never refuses me." And the guru is moved to tears by the sheer, unadulterated conviction. All right, section 4. God visits the ashram. Bandhu has made a massive promise, and now he has to somehow convince the Supreme Lord to leave the secluded safety of the forest. The very next day, Bandhu brings 3 pots of butter to the forest. After asking if they are true friends, Bandhu demands that God come back to the ashram with him, but God flatly refuses. He says he will meet Bandhu in the forest, but he is not going to the ashram. And instead of begging, Bandhu actually gets angry. He packs up all 3 pots of butter, declares that if God won't come, then he has no love for God either, and just starts walking away. God is entirely caught off guard by this. He actually has to run after Bandhu, finally yielding because he simply cannot bear the innocent anger of his devoted friend. But God agrees with one very playful condition. He says, "I am very tired and cannot walk that far. You must carry me on your back." Bandhu happily agrees to this. This detail is so great because it brilliantly illustrates the deeply intimate, informal, and almost peer-like bond between the Supreme Lord and this simple orphan. It's not a relationship built on fear or strict ritual. It's just pure, joyful friendship. And now, our final section, Section 5, the power of pure devotion. Let's see how this incredible sequence resolves back at the ashram, where everyone is waiting to see if Bandhu's bold promise holds true. The guru is pacing anxiously, terrified that Bandhu's going to return completely brokenhearted. But then, the cowbells ring, the disciples rush outside, and the scene is just unimaginable. Bandhu walks in, and the entire ashram is instantly bathed in this divine, unearthly light. Because there, sitting smiling right on Bandhu's back, is the Supreme Lord himself, complete with the peacock feather and yellow clothes. The guru and all those mocking disciples are absolutely paralyzed with awe and trembling reverence. This moment brings the entire narrative into such sharp focus. On one hand, you have the guru, representing a lifelong study of scriptures, severe austerity, renunciation, and incredibly complex knowledge. And on the other hand, you have Bandhu, literally 0 scriptural knowledge, just pure innocent love and simple offerings of butter. The guru falls to his knees, weeping, realizing that all his intellectual pursuits failed to achieve what Bandhu's simple love accomplished in just a few short days. As the guru cries at his feet, God lifts him up and delivers the absolute core philosophical message of this incredible story. He says, "Knowledge can understand me, but this Bandhu has bound me with his love." The disciples who mocked Bandhu now stand before him, weeping in shame, begging for forgiveness. And Bandhu, ever the innocent, says he had forgotten their insults long ago. God notes that he is naturally drawn to hearts that are entirely free from deceit and hatred. Now, the story reaches a bittersweet but profoundly beautiful conclusion. For a few days, the joy at the ashram just continues. But one evening, the cows return from the forest, but Bandhu does not. The frantic guru searches the Bhandirvan forest but finds only an empty clay pot and a single peacock feather resting under the banyan tree. That night, God appears in the guru's dream and simply says, "Do not worry, Bandhu is with me now." The guru weeps, but they're tears of joy, knowing the orphan boy had finally gone home with his best friend. So, what does this all mean? Which brings us to the overarching moral. To reach the highest truths, or the divine, you absolutely do not need high social status. You don't need immense, complex knowledge or rigid rituals. What is truly required is a pure, deceit-free heart. A heart exactly like Bandhu's. And I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder as we wrap up today's explainer. In our modern world, where we are so intensely obsessed with acquiring complex knowledge, wealth, and status, are we forgetting the profound, unmatched power of simple, pure love? Thank you so much for exploring this remarkable story with me today. Keep seeking, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.